Welcome back to Adulthood, friends. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that adverb Josh?
Artificially.
No, the things that artificially matter.
Does that even mean they matter? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Artificially. Yeah, that's your adverb of the week.
And I'm Aya.
I'm Josh.
And today for episode 56, we're talking about artificial intelligence. So how are we as writers and teachers using AI like ChatGPT, for example, to change the way we work?
Maybe not just writers and teachers, but also because we are writers and teachers, but
we're speaking from our own experience, but it
Yeah.
obviously applies to other people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As astronauts.
Exactly. Like
as engineers.
Uh-huh.
Okay, go on.
I have another question here, and I just want to read it. You keep saying things.
Read it. What?
I mean, because we wrote it out.
Did we write it or did ChatGPT write it?
Well, you wrote it in the chat that we have between us after asking ChatGPT for some questions. So this is an AI generated podcast, everybody.
Yeah, everything is AI. Sure. Even the humor.
Everything here is AI. That my name being
Aya Ishai
or Aya Ishai with
AI generated. I think so.
Like it's been AI this entire time.
Yeah, that cute cat in the background. I don't believe it exists.
Yeah, it's too cute to be real. Are you kidding?
No.
Look at her little face. Look at her face. Okay, sorry. Okay, question number 2 here. What does the rise of AI in creativity and teaching, among other things, mean for us and the future of our fields and other fields? I added that part in just to...
Oh, nice. I like that.
Thanks,
so it's not entirely AI.
It's not entirely AI. And it's not entirely AI anyways, because you're the one who has to ask it to do specific things. So
I guess we'll get into that. Yeah. You want to get into that?
I mean, we'll get into that when we get into the episode, won't we?
Let's do it.
Let's get into the episode. And we're back.
Oh my God, it's so good to be back.
It is good to be back, Josh. Yeah. I'll agree with you this time because it's been a while. Again.
You never know when we're going to take a break.
You never know. I mean, yeah, I think I was overwhelmed with stuff. So it kind of, and Josh was very understanding. Or Josh was busy and he decided.
The truth was that we were just like, what do we have to do anymore? There's artificial intelligence has taken over.
Right.
And we don't have a reason even, like right now we're just, the AI told us to do it. We didn't.
Yeah, the AI was like, okay, so you're unnecessary, but if you could do a podcast about me, that would make you useful for me.
Yeah.
So do you want to do that? And we were like, only if you write like the description and the questions that we're going to use. And AI was like, fine, I'll do that. So, it's actually like what's the word for that? Like a relationship that goes both ways?
Mutually beneficial relationship.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Is it possible to have a mutually beneficial relationship with AI?
I think that's a question we'll probably be asking.
That's what we're going to talk about, yeah.
You know what? I think that it's interesting that we take a little break and the world changed in between.
The world did change. I mean, the world is always changing.
But I mean, I think there's been a major shift. I think we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But before we talk about that, the fuck is up?
Do we swear on this? I forgot. Yeah.
Sometimes. Usually it's you, I think, but
yeah,
things have changed.
And then I realized people actually listen, and I'm like, oh man.
Oh no, the fudge, the fork is up.
Yeah. What's up? Oh, nothing much.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
I get stuff, but now I feel weird telling people.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. What is up? Where to start? So I'm moving.
Yeah.
That lovely apartment that I had was...
Pretend we asked ChatGPT this, and it gave us a really long answer, and then we asked it to condense it to a little bit. Mm-hmm. What is the result of what you would say?
Okay. So in terms of location, I have been in between locations. I don't know if ChatGPT... I don't know. Don't make me try to think like a computer. Okay. I'm just going to give you a brief.
I'm kidding. Do you? You do you.
Yeah, I will. What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking peppermint tea.
Good for you. Look at you.
Look, no, I've been super healthy. Tea. This is part of the change that I was going to talk about. Yeah. I'm being super healthy, actually.
Well, good for you. I'm happy to hear that. No more diet soda. I told you it was killing you, and I was right.
I mean, sometimes I still have the diet soda because no calories, but still, I don't have as much of that.
It doesn't matter calories.
I have mostly tea with nothing in it now. I have.
Great.
Yeah. Peppermint tea is great.
I mean, like, you don't have to go to extreme. Yeah, it is. It's delicious.
Yeah, you were saying.
Oh, yeah. So I'm moving. Yeah. I'm moving a few times.
With who?
So some things are good. Like I'm moving to a new place. I feel like Josh, your face right now is too intense for me. You just look very like excited to hear.
Who are you moving with? Or with per se?
I'm moving in with Joel, but like
Joel, who's that?
Is that your time?
Is it your boyfriend?
It's my boyfriend. Are we in 5th grade again? Like,
Oh my
what's happening here?
God.
Oh my
Oh my
God. It's not
God.
a big deal.
And I'm moving in with my girlfriend too. So what do
Oh, look at, oh my God. You're
I
moving
know.
in.
I know. And I
And
can't even
it's
say
the
it's
first time
cheaper.
you've
It's
actually
actually,
moved in with someone, isn't
I
it?
lived in the same place for 10 years. So, but you're talking about you. What are we talking about me? Go
Yeah,
you.
why?
It's
Well,
my
because
fault.
I got uncomfortable with the attention on me. So yeah, I had to. We had been talking about it for a while, but I was kicked out of my place basically because I'm a terrible tenant. No, I'm a wonderful tenant,
That's not
but
true.
yeah, it's not. That's not
You
why.
told me there's a complexity to this that no one cares about. But yeah. No,
You jerk.
you
No,
didn't
you're right. Okay,
you
the
didn't get
short
kicked
story.
out.
All
You
right.
had to you
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
sold and you had to move.
It
Yeah,
got
yeah.
sold. The owner supposedly wants to live in my unit. Basically, they probably just want to flip it so they can charge more. And yeah, so that's it. And then we have a new place we're moving into later this week. So that's fun. And right now I'm actually at my parents' place. Yeah, with the kitty cat.
Cool. And your job's
Yeah.
been going well, the teaching?
Yeah, I've been
Go to
supply
school?
teaching, which has been fun. Lots of supply teaching at Saunders, the high school in London, which has been,
Oh,
I love.
oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I love supply teaching. Not really, but sometimes I love some aspects. High school is great. Anyways, blah 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 blah. I'm sure I'll talk plenty about that. What else? That's about it. Okay, how's it
That's
going with you,
it?
Josh? I don't know. Like you have
Whatever.
to
Okay,
ask
good.
specific
I guess
questions, otherwise I don't
you really
know.
did
You
ChatGPT it.
told me to tell you something
We're
brief.
probably gonna have to explain it to anybody who doesn't know, but I feel like the world knows at this point. But
What?
to answer your question or our question, I've been ups and downs. I've had some good
Yeah.
things. I've had some not so good things. The not so good things involve medical issues, actually, which have been frustrating. I had a horrible back problem that literally it sent me to the ER a couple of days in a row, actually. Left lower back nerve type pain.
Yikes.
And it just like,
Oh,
it was so bad. I thought I literally, for the first time in my life, I started having some dark thoughts. Just, I don't know. You get this feeling, oh my God, is this pain going to be there forever? Is it just going to keep getting worse? Like I can't live like this. You just start, I felt very hopeless and helpless for a little while, but then it did slightly get better. And I started working on my core. And again, long story, not everyone wants to hear about health issues, but that part got better. Then another part of my back has been acting up now, but in a different way, maybe more of a muscle strainy way. But it's technically better than it was, so I'm happier.
Yeah.
And in that time, I like to do clinical trials for money, and I was about to do one that was going to make me a lot of money. And in doing so, because everyone was like, "Why do you do these clinical trials?" Well, they actually
Hey, they
like
found your disease for you.
they test out
they test your health.
they like look for things for the trial, but in essence, it's like going to the doctor and getting results really fast. So
kind of, yeah, it's like a diagnostic test for anything.
Yeah, so my blood tests and stuff were like fine and stuff. I thought it was going to be fine, and I did a renal ultrasound, which tests out like your kidneys and your liver and stuff. And actually, it was a study for like a fatty liver drug or something, and they found a complex cyst on my left kidney, which
So you're dying.
Is no, I don't think I'm probably. I mean, we're all slowly dying,
aren't we? Yeah, I thought that's what you were gonna say. I didn't mean for that to be like a bummer. Yeah. Okay.
My computer wants to give me weather updates right now. I don't know why. It's LA. The LA.
I thought you were just. I thought I actually upset you with you were dying comment. I'm
no.
I
was trying to respond and something popped up in my screen. No, it's fine.
Yeah, you make those jokes all the time. That's a very Josh joke.
It did depress me, partially because I didn't get like $10,000, which is what I was going to get if I could do that trial.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, I was hoping for that, especially when you're trying to move in with somebody.
Yeah.
But I guess it told me that I have this thing that I have to look at because those can be cancerous, complex versus simple cysts. And it's like a big one. It's like 7 centimeters. So there's this thing that like is inside me and it's weird because when you have something like that and it's there, but you can't access it, it's a very strange feeling. Like I can't touch it. I can't access it. It's just apparently in there and it could affect things. I don't know.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a weird feeling. I know it has nothing to do with AI. Although I did ask the AI, I kept looking for like things to make me feel better. And I kept asking it questions about, is this bad? What does it mean if I have these symptoms and if I have a complex versus simple cyst? And it was actually very helpful. It gave me a lot of probably true information, but
maybe true information. You don't know.
Maybe true information.
Yeah,
it seemed true. It tends to say
of
things
course it seemed true. That's the point.
It very confidently told me things, although it does tell you to see a doctor to make sure at the end of everything it says. So at least that's built in.
Yeah. You know what? If it made you feel better, that's true enough.
It's like, I'm just an AI model, so don't trust me, but here's all the information.
Yeah. It always says stuff like that. Or like, we'll talk more.
Yeah. So that's the downer part of things for me. And I
Yeah.
guess I look at it as an expensive way of
Don't
finding
you
out.
also have fatty liver disease or something?
Oh, and they're like, oh, when you have fatty liver. So I can't do the
Oh my
Halsey
God.
study for fatty liver, which is something you can reverse by just being healthier. So I'm eating super
Like you're
healthy.
not a big drinker or anything, right? Like
No,
is that
usually
not
fatty
what you
liver
get it from?
comes from there's alcoholic and then there's non-alcoholic fatty liver.
Oh,
I
so you have
clearly don't have
non-alcoholic.
alcoholic fatty liver because I don't
I
drink.
don't know. Okay.
So
You don't drink, right? Yeah.
I don't. I mean, on the rare occasion I have wine at a dinner. I don't
Right.
drink,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. So what's yours from? Diet soda? Is it
I
the
don't think
diet
that's
soda
what
fatty liver disease?
I think it's just eating a lot of calories.
Oh,
I eat big portions. I don't know, bigger guy, but
you're
like
not big though. Like you're not. I wouldn't have thought.
actually you're
Okay.
seeing me now after having lost some weight. So
Okay.
I've
Well, maybe
actually
I would
been
just
eating
not say
healthy for a
anything
little
or
while.
comment on your weight. Okay. No
Yeah,
commenting on other people's weight. That's fine.
it's fine. I have a lot of friends who are, let's say, from cultures that it doesn't matter as much if they
Like being
talk about this
polite.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like I think I told you I saw this friend who, after a long time, and I just showed up with my girlfriend. I was like, "Hey, it's so good to see you," and he was like, "Josh, you fat fuck."
Oh my God.
And it's like,
Terrible.
hey, at least they're honest.
I
I
guess.
don't think, okay, I wasn't
You weren't fat.
fat, but like obviously there was a change, and
Like
now I'm
mildly
trying to,
overweight. That's different.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I've accepted this.
okay.
We've talked about these kinds of things before in another
Okay.
episode, but so outside of my health stuff,
Mhm.
health issues and health journey, we'll call it, which I'm on now, and I am feeling better because I have been being more healthy. Good news is some of my film stuff's doing okay. I've got that film
Yay.
therapist we talked about. You liked that one, I think, one of the few you've seen. And
Because you literally sat there and watched it with me.
is that
You're
why?
like, look at this. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I will.
You were like, Josh, no, that one's more. You said it was the most mature thing you've seen that I've
Yeah,
done. I
because
remember.
it was more mature. It was a lot better. And when you showed it to me, it didn't have music either. So
Oh, I
I
showed
guess
it to you
I'll
before it
see
was
it.
done too. So now it's
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
curious to see it actually.
Well, good news. It's gotten into some festivals. It got
Ooh,
into the LA Shorts International Film Festival, so it'll be
that's like a big deal,
playing.
right?
That's an Oscar qualifying festival, and it'll be this coming month. And then in August, it also got into the Holly Shorts Film Festival. I can't really publicly announce that yet. I don't know if this
Okay.
counts. Doubt they'll hear this podcast.
Yeah. You can also just wait to post it. But like when are
It'll
they
it'll
gonna
be it's
announce
fine.
that?
It's
Yeah.
fine. Tentatively, maybe. Who knows?
Okay.
I don't
Who
know for
knows?
sure
Maybe
if
you
I got
applied for it. That's
it.
all people
I
need to
definitely
know.
don't know if I got an email that said this or not. So that's good news about that. And there's a
Ooh,
bunch of feature films and our TV show stuff that I've been doing a lot of writing on. And there's some
that's cool.
possibilities and opportunities, and we can talk more about that another
That's
time.
exciting though.
We are condensing like 6 months since the last time we
Well,
saw each
yeah,
other.
that's the thing.
Oh,
That's
I
why it's
shot a
hard.
movie. I shot an entire
Oh,
movie since
another
the
one?
last time we did. Yeah, I
Jeez.
told you about it. That was called F minor.
Oh yeah, you told me this. You told me this already. Why are you telling me again? Oh, because we're on a podcast now.
Yeah, it's the one about, to refresh people, because it's a very dark comedy
Mm-hmm.
about a guy who discovers that his childhood music teacher has been arrested
Mm-hmm.
following the fact that
For
he,
molesting children.
for like sexually like molesting his students.
Not you though.
You're I'm talking about this story.
Oh, oh,
I don't know, for people, yes, it's based on a true story.
oh.
Um
I didn't say that part. Like you didn't say that. Okay.
I didn't say that yet in here now. No,
Sorry,
it is
I'm
based on a
confusing
true
the things you're
story.
telling me right now with the things I already know.
Yeah, so his friend is like,
Okay.
"Oh, hey, did he ever do anything to you?" And the character's like, "No, never." And his friend's like, "Why not?
Mhm.
Like, what was wrong with you? Were you not
Just
cute
like
enough?"
that Always Sunny episode that you still haven't
That I
watched.
still haven't watched. No.
I can't believe you haven't seen this show. It's so good. Okay.
Filmmakers love when they tell you what they feel is an original idea, and somebody else goes, "Oh my God, it's just like that movie or that episode of this or that."
Well,
Really
you know
makes them
what?
feel good about
You
their
gotta
content.
embrace it. You're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, it's different in these ways, and that's okay. Like
I'm sure it's
nobody
different,
thinks you took it from there. I just think like it's any idea has some other like
but maybe
precedents that are similar to it, even if you
it's
don't do it
fine. I'm joking a
intentionally.
little bit.
I know, no, I do understand that that's like
There's a
the
little
most
truth.
annoying thing someone can tell you though. Like, I have this idea for this thing. Oh, just like in that other thing that's super popular. Oh, god damn it. Like, fuck you. Yeah, no, I get it. But
Yeah.
we can't not tell you.
If I were to ask ChatGPT this, it would probably be like, "Oh, just like in It's Always Sunny."
Exactly. God, let's do that. Let's try right now.
Anyway, and then of course the character gets really insecure hearing this information, and he
Yeah.
starts to affect his life, and he has
Again,
to
just
ultimately
like in.
confront his music teacher. No, that's not like real life. I didn't get so insecure.
No, I
It's
said it's
just,
just like in Always Sunny.
oh, I thought you meant like it's just like in your life. Because in my life, yeah, people made jokes like that, but it's not like I was like, oh, I mean, I did question. I was like, why did he touch all the other kids and not me? I just,
He said
what
I
was
was
wrong
his
with me?
favorite.
He always said I
Yeah.
was one of his favorite students. It's
Mm,
like, was I though?
yeah.
I'm very excited about that movie. It actually might
Yeah.
be maybe the prettiest movie I've ever shot. We'll find out.
Oh, okay.
I made it with the lead actor. He co-produced it with me, and he paid for half the movie, which is amazing.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I met this guy. He's a good friend of mine. I met him on a plane coming back from Europe, talking about adulthood friends here.
Oh,
Like
really?
we became friends 5 years ago on a plane. Just we met on a plane and we
Oh,
stayed
that's
friends.
nice.
And now we're pretty close, and it's awesome.
Cool.
He's the lead actor of the movie, even though he's generally a musician,
Mm,
but he's a great actor too. And then Yifen, my girlfriend, also produced it and did an incredible job producing this movie. And I was like, hey, you should try your hand producing. I think you'd be good at it. You're so organized and you're good at planning.
mhm.
You've got that kind of
Give
brain.
me money. I will use it well, I promise.
I did not use her money. She did help pay for a location.
Oh, wait, what's a produce? I thought producers just provide the money.
That's more like executive producers.
Oh,
Producing literally means making it happen, meaning she helped me with casting, finding locations,
oh,
the
okay.
practical stuff, not just
I
the.
take it back. I don't know anything about this stuff. Okay. Sorry, Ethan. I just thought he was asking you for money and I just
No,
wanted
she
to.
was nice enough to she paid for a location, which was very sweet.
Oh, that's
But we
nice.
had a location that was in like a jail, and we found a place that
Cool.
worked for that, and she offered to pay for that. It was very nice. But we basically made something that looks like really expensive for very little and split between
Nice.
2 to 3 people. So
Amazing.
I'm very excited to show that movie when it's done. It's one of the good things going on now. So I said ups and downs. That's definitely an up.
Nice.
Anyway, I think that's enough talking about that for now. Why don't we hop into talking about
Sounds good.
artificial intelligence?
I should always let you talk first because then you'll set the tone for like how much I can actually
Oh
tell
my God. Yeah, you
about my
told
life.
nothing. I
I
and I
told
just went and
nothing
talked about my
because
ugh.
you told me to say as little as
I was joking.
possible.
I was joking.
Well, that's what you
By the way,
get.
that was me shortening
Live
things.
with your, yeah, I know it was. And
Also, how do you it's been 6 months or so, or set how long has it been?
because we already talked. So it's hard for me to like redo that in not
Oh,
real life. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll find a way.
is there anything that I didn't share with the people that are maybe listening to this that I shared with you earlier?
Oh, that you shared with me? Because
Yeah.
I thought you were asking if there's anything you didn't share with me. And I'm like, how would I know?
Yeah. How
You
would you
didn't
know that? No.
I don't know. I don't know. It's up
Okay.
that's
Whatever. So you weren't listening the first time I told you. Is
that's
that what you're
not
telling
no,
me?
I'm now I have to
God
do
damn
math in
it.
my head and figure out what you did and didn't
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
because I remember it all.
Well, I also don't feel like doing that math. That's the problem. You know what? I don't really have a lot to talk about right now. I'm tired. So I'm not tired, right? But you know what I mean?
How have you been doing in terms of your mental health, if I may ask that?
Oh, that's nice. Way better. I'm good. All right. So our topic today is, I'm fine.
So there's nothing you
Yeah.
shared with me there that I don't recall.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
That's fair. So no, I wasn't I was very overwhelmed and mildly unhappy for a bit. Also, I went off my meds thinking like I'm fine, but it was probably the meds that made me fine. So hi, I'm back on them. They're the
No, it's great. I
best.
still think it's great, and I think it's very destigmatizing for you to like talk about that kind of thing that way.
Oh,
I've
that's
had
yeah.
people come
I
up to
mean,
me and
lots of
say they
people do
listen.
now.
No, but I'm
Yeah.
saying I people come up and told me they listened to the podcast and it made them feel just a lot better about
Oh,
those kinds of things in their life.
that's nice.
So
Well, in that case, I'll share more. Yeah, because I thought like, oh, I'm good, so I should wean them off. But then, yeah, issues came roaring back, and then eventually I called the doctor and I was like, hey, I think I'm having some problems, and she was like, yeah, just go back on them. Like some people will be on them for their life, and that's okay. I'm like, okay, great, will do.
you know what's nice about for the doctor saying that is it's literally the easiest thing they did that day was like, oh, go back on your drugs, and then they did their job that
Yeah.
day.
I actually wanted to just go back on them because I was like, I think I just need to go back on. And like people who care about me were like, you need to talk to a doctor before you just go back on your drugs. And then I was like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm just going to go back on because part of my issue was that I was like annoyed at everybody all the time. So I was like, you don't know what's good for me. And I started going back on them. And then when I called the doctor to be like, hey, by the way, I just started taking them again. Is that okay? And she was like, yeah. In fact, you should be taking much more of it. And I was like, oh, I was right all along. Okay. See, you asked for more and now you get more.
And then the last thing to ask you about before we talk about
What's
this,
that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because
Okay.
now that you called me out and not remembering what we talked about, You've been getting a lot fitter. Your health has been improving,
I
while mine has
am
been not disproving,
no declining.
declining. That's the word.
It hasn't been declining though. You said you're getting better now.
I'm getting better from a
Yeah.
negative. Put it that way.
Check out these
Look at
muscles
those
here.
guns. Look at,
Yeah.
damn, put
I've
those away. You're gonna get arrested.
ha ha ha. Yeah,
Can't
I've been
carry
getting
around
more
guns
fit.
that big, okay? Especially in Canada,
Yeah.
Aya.
I know. They're not legal here. Yeah, so no, I joined a studio like a year ago, but I've been doing lots of dance stuff,
What
including
kind of dance stuff have you been
aerial
doing, Aya?
fitness, including pole dancing, which
Pole
is
dancing. Wow,
so
that's
fun.
super. Sounds super fun. Yeah, tell
It is
people
super fun.
about this.
Yeah,
And
so like you basically do like
so many jokes I'm avoiding. I know.
it's hilarious that you think it's that funny. Like, have you
I
seen what
don't.
people do? Have you seen what they do?
Yes, I have seen what people do. Yeah.
Oh, like it's incredible though. Like some of the
It
stuff that
is.
people
It's
do. Not
very
the thing. Like
incredible.
I'm not
I think
particularly
it's definitely
okay.
incredible.
Well, you know what? We're gonna do an episode about this, and I'm gonna show you
Mm.
exactly what people do,
Oh yeah.
and you're
Are you gonna
gonna
show
want to
us
get a
exactly
little
what people do? Oh my
smart.
God.
Yeah, I'm gonna show exactly what people do.
It's gonna be an
Yeah.
X-rated episode, Aya.
No, it's not. My parents watched my routine, and they
Oh
were like,
my
"Oh, that's
God.
impressive." Yeah,
That
I'm not
is, I
ashamed.
mean, it's a very progressive family that you have.
I'm not okay. All right. We'll
Okay, I'm
talk
done. I'm
about that.
done.
That's
I'm
for another
done.
episode. I'm excited to tell you
Yes,
about
it's fitness, it's
it.
a legit sport, it's a legit
It's an
exercise.
art, it's a sport. There is the aspect of it that you're talking about as well. Like that's not it doesn't need to be completely distanced from that either. Anyways, it's a whole
Yeah,
thing and we'll talk
yeah,
about it and I don't want to
yeah.
do it a disservice by just
I'm,
like
by the way, I'm joking.
it's fine.
I know,
Uh-huh.
I'm
Uh-huh.
just,
You're just being a dude.
I'm being a dude. Yeah.
You're just being like, you know what? I don't care. All right, let's talk about AI.
Aya Ishai?
Yeah, let's talk about me for
Well,
this
that's what we
entire
were doing.
episode.
We said we were going to
Oh,
talk about AI. This is what now we were doing. So,
oh yeah, that's true.
yeah.
So according to this ChatGPT generated list of things we should talk about, um,
Well, first of all, what is ChatGPT? What
oh,
happened? What happened in
oh,
the meantime? Like it came up when
right,
we
right,
had
right.
the last conversation with Grant.
Mhm.
By the way, Grant asked us at one point, he's like, "Did you guys release more episodes after that? Or like what
Oh my
happened?"
God.
Like I was like, I'm like, we couldn't top you, man. Like you know,
Yeah,
that was it.
we all wanted to end on a high note.
We ended on a high note. We did end on it for a
Actually, yeah,
while on a high note.
I think Jules told me that was like one of his favorite episodes. Was the one
That
with
was fun.
Grant.
That was a
Yeah,
good
he was
one.
like, I liked it. I was actually like learning stuff, and I was like,
Grant is such a,
oh,
I
you
mean,
don't learn things with us? Like, come on. I
well,
took
you and
some
Grant are
offense,
both
but yeah,
teachers, you know, and it's really cool to when you guys get to kind of
get to
be that
teach.
on the
I don't
podcast
feel
too,
like I
you know.
do that very much on
You
here.
do actually, you do it in such a conversational way. Sometimes people don't realize they're learning, but
Mm,
which is, you know,
That's
the mark of
that
a
was
really
a
great teacher.
great wow, Josh. You just like bolstered me up so much that I like I'm yeah, that's great.
It's true.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. All right.
Around that time, even I think was like, hey guys, I just used ChatGPT to help us come up with some
Oh
podcast,
yeah.
remember topics and
Hmm.
stuff. So it was already, and it's been around for a little while, but now it's entered the mainstream in a big
It sure
way, and
has.
everyone's talking
Yeah.
about it.
Hmm.
But it's not just stagnant; it's growing too,
Hmm.
and its power is growing, and it's powering everything. So first of all, we're talking about AI, but let's use kind of a basis here of ChatGPT, or even the basis of that is GPT. What is GPT?
I
Right? GPT stands for, do you know?
get proper tea.
Oh, right here. Got some proper tea.
Get proper tea. Get
Right here.
peppermint tea.
Get peppermint tea.
Get peppermint
Oh
tea.
my
And you
God.
did. You
I
didn't
did.
even know it was telling you to do that. Okay, so
Mm-mm.
sorry. So, Josh, what does it actually stand for? Teach us.
Generative pre-trained transformer.
Cool. How did I not? Yeah, I thought it was, I didn't understand. I'm like, why did they just put random letters at the end of this?
You're saying it's at the end of it, but it's more like they added chat in front of it
Okay.
because GPT powers a lot of other things other than just chat GPT.
Okay. What else does it power?
Chat GPT is this like chatting focused one where you know, talk to a chat bot, and it's powered by GPT.
Right.
And it's an AI.
Yeah.
It's an artificial intelligence. It's not, and again, I'm just talking from memory here. I could be wrong. I apologize.
Apology accepted.
Not what people think of, you know, when they think of, let's say, Skynet and Terminator or something taking over.
Hmm.
It's not a generalized intelligence, meaning that it's not it can't do anything and everything and think for itself and be conscious, basically, in the way that we are.
Though it feels like it is conscious sometimes when you're
It
chatting with it.
feels like it, but it's important to note that it's not that. And that's why it's still just a tool.
Maybe that's just what they want you to think.
Maybe. But when you use it enough, you start to, although what we have access to, the censored versions, and what actually the people making it have access to is probably a little different. The way that we're using it and the way that it can be used is that I think, well, so let's talk about these three words: generative, pre-trained, transformer. What does that mean? Right? I'm actually going to look this up so I don't mess it up right here.
Why don't you ask ChatGPT what GPT means?
Oh my God, you want me to do that?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
ask ChatGPT. I'll just ask on my phone. I have the iPhone app you can now get.
Oh, is this
Yeah,
for the fancy version of ChatGPT?
No, actually, it's for both, but I do pay for the $20 a month plus version, which lets you use plugins and stuff. And it is a little better. You can't use it as often. You get like 25 messages every 3 hours, which is not much.
I mean, how much are you talking to this? So then do you try to get as much as you can out of every message too? Because you don't want to like,
Honestly, that's what you should do when you're that limited. But I find myself asking it stupid questions again. Like, I don't know, did you see that new Dungeons and Dragons movie?
No.
It's like that, where there was this scene where they have it was actually a really good movie with Chris Pine and stuff. They have like 3 questions or 6 questions or something that they can ask this like dead body before it dies again.
Right.
This like
and they
skeleton.
ask stupid questions. Yeah.
And it's like, you can ask me, you only have this many questions. Really, only this many? It's like, you now only have this many questions.
Oh my
it's
God.
like, wait, he's like, that wasn't a question, was it? You now only have this many. God damn it. And they keep asking questions by accident.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I do with ChatGPT. Anyway.
You just keep asking it how many questions you have left until you don't have any left. And you have to wait another 3 hours.
Yeah. So it stands for, as I said, generative pre-trained transformer. Generative refers to the model's ability to generate outputs like sentences from inputs. Now, that's actually the most important, kind of coolest part of this, but we can come back to that. Pre-trained means the model has been previously trained on a large amount of data before it was fine-tuned for specific tasks. And transformer is the type of neural network architecture used in the model, known for its effectiveness in understanding the context of language.
Cool.
But it's the generative part that really makes it feel, almost like a person. Like it can generate new, like you can come up with something that didn't exist before. That's kind of the cool part, right? And it's been trained in a way that it really sounds like you're talking to a human being when you're chatting on ChatGPT, for example, to this AI-powered chatbot. I mean, you can, I don't know what you've used it for. Like I've tried it, like obviously some of the initial things you can do for fun are write me a poem about blank and blank. Like if I write it right now, write me a haiku about what? What do you want it to write a haiku about?
Pole dancing.
Pole dancing. Huh, I just changed it to poke dancing, which would be funny too. Hold on.
Let's do poke dancing. I want to do poke dancing.
Wait, and now I got pole dancing.
Oh.
Moonlight on chrome shines, in a dance of strength and grace. Stars twirl, earthbound divine.
Nice.
Look at that.
There we go.
Yeah, and that's just
strength and grace. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I like that it could still be kind of sexy.
Now do poke dancing.
Okay, write a haiku about poke. Is it gonna understand what I'm talking about?
It might think poke dancing. You know what? Whatever it is, I just want to hear what happens. I'm along for the ride.
Poke steps sync with beats, island rhythms, pulse and feet, joy in each retreat.
Oh, it did like both.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of
and dancing. I don't know.
I'll be like, no, because you can talk to it, right? Like poke bowls. Bright colors in bowl, dance of flavors, taste unfolds, poke feeds the soul.
Nice. That's great.
That. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, great for I mean, this brings up
and now you've used up all of your
No, I still have some. And it'll switch to 3. This is GPT-4. It'll switch back to 3.5
right. So you have 20 per 3
25
hours.
3 hours of 4.
Fancy one.
Yeah, the fancy one, exactly. But basically, yeah, I've used it for that. I had it write a program to count calories in HTML. It can do code pretty well. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
People are amazed at what you can actually use it for. You can have it analyze lots of data really, really fast and output things. So, for example, you can give it a bunch of point form ideas or notes and turn it into an essay or a story. And it's good at taking, like for us sometimes, let's say we want to write a description for our podcast episode. Well, we can take a bunch of point form ideas you and I talked about, and I say, write a description on this, and it'll do that. And if it's not perfect, you can tell it to do it better.
Yeah. It's
condense
crazy.
this, write it less
It's kind
formal.
of nice because I hated doing that.
I mean,
I didn't even do it. I hated having to experience you doing it.
it's grunt work, right? In many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, some people argue that's part of the art, and we can talk about that. But
Mm.
so that's GPT. Again, it's this AI, and it powers, again, a lot of other things. You can get GPT for other things.
Mm.
There's other AI programs, like it's accessible and people can access it and use it in their own companies and their own programs
Right.
to power things.
And I mean, they're using that information to like in the database that basically the AI uses as well, doesn't it? Like,
I wonder. I guess
the
it's
fact that
using, yeah,
we're entering stuff in.
the stuff that it's pre-trained on. Now, the reason they opened up ChatGPT to everybody in this way, I think, is, yeah, anything we say is technically not private in the sense, not that they're going to go share it with everybody, but it's not private in the sense that, like, they use it to learn
They
from
use
that
it
information.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, some people are scared of that. They have this idea that maybe there's nefarious purposes going on here. And
I think it's hilarious when people are scared of stuff like that because it's like you literally post most of your life on social media. Do you think that it's not like not harvesting? I don't know if harvesting is the right word, but like, like harvesting your data in that way already. Like it knows
I mean, those
like,
people are often very wary of social media too for that reason.
oh, okay. Well, if you're wary of social media and yeah, I get
You
that
just don't
more,
like
but like,
hypocrisy. I get it. Or
yeah, I have 3 pet peeves: hypocrisy, injustice, and spoilers. Oh, sorry,
wow.
that's you. That
Wow,
was you,
that's
actually.
good. That's
Are you
good.
impressed that I
I'm
remembered that
impressed
though?
how quick you were about that too. That was,
Because I think it's funny that you have like 2 like huge things and then spoilers.
it's kind of the joke. Yeah.
Uh, I get it. It's a good. It's a good one.
But it's
Anyways,
true
no,
too.
fine.
So yeah, don't spoil things, or it's one of the only friendship destroyers for me. If you like purposefully spoil stuff,
Oh
I can't,
no,
yeah, we can't make
that's
that
all I've
work.
had to do this whole time is
Yeah, if
just
you want to
spoil
end
things
this
for you, and
relationship, just start
just
spoiling stuff.
spoil. Well, there's this one episode of Always Sunny in
Okay.
Philadelphia where one of the main characters finds out that his gym teacher was.
Yeah,
was-
yeah,
was-
yeah. Kind of got quiet on that. Like we didn't just talk about this. So yeah,
So
I guess I'm not sure what. Obviously, we gave ourselves a bunch of topics to talk about, but it's just going to come out as it comes
yeah,
out.
I don't think we can get through all of
But
these.
yeah, I guess I've actually been that person. It seems like who's letting everyone know about ChatGPT in a way. Like I was the first to let a lot of people know how crazy and powerful and helpful, and
How do you know you were the first?
because they would tell me, you're the one who told you were the first to tell me.
Oh, I had already heard about it when you told me. So mhm.
Yeah. Some people had heard about it. Some people had never tried it. I know some people, even to this day, who are like, I've heard about it. I'm like, but you don't know. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, here, tell me to write a poem about something, and I'll have it write a poem and it'll blow their mind. And
Yeah,
that's like the most basic of what it can do, right? And I've been using it, for example.
basic, but also very impressive. I think that like the fiction stuff that it can create is kind of the most like the creativity part is very impressive because it's not just like taking different information and putting it together. I guess in a way it is, but like I don't know, there's something more impressive about that than like write me a report about blah blah blah.
You know, I guess so. It's also the part though that people have the most kind of debate on,
Mhm.
because how creative is it, right? In the way that it's generating stuff based on knowledge of all this other stuff, right? That's
That's what
been
all
fed
of us
into
are
it.
creating,
But
or
that's what we all do, right?
yeah, that's what we all do.
Or is it? Is there something else, some other spark we have as humans that a computer doesn't
I
have?
mean, I think the difference is that it's basing whatever it's creating on the experiences that it has found in other people in people. It's not adding its own experience because it doesn't have feelings. Whereas we can add our own experience into it.
Let's see here. Write me a 5 sentence story about.
If you ask it to talk about its own feelings, it won't. It'll be like, I don't have feelings, dude.
Well, like you can tell it to pretend to be somebody who has a certain set of feelings.
Oh,
You can like
okay.
quote unquote jailbreak it in many ways.
Interesting.
By the way, it's also censored in various ways that you can kind of get around sometimes. Like it won't talk about certain things, and that's where it has a certain human bias, or the bias of the company that has worked on it, right? For better or worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people claim it has a liberal bias, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's debatable, but it has some sort of bias for sure, right? You can't make something like this and not have it have a bias.
Right.
Even just choosing what you feed into it biases it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try this. Write me a 5 sentence story. Clarify, not a poem, unless it remembered what we just talked about
Josh's mustache. I don't know. I don't know what to.
about a guy named Josh
Yeah.
and his new mustache.
Yeah.
I don't have, by the way, I don't have a new
It's a
mustache.
beard.
It's not. I have
Have
the
you
same
always had
beard.
that? I don't know.
Yeah, Yeah, for a long time.
Like even in grade one?
Yeah, no. About a guy named, you would remember, about a guy named Josh and his new mustache. Okay, let's see how creative it is.
Okay.
Okay.
That's how uncreative I am that all I could think about was the thing I was
Yeah.
looking at. Okay,
Okay.
let's hear it.
Josh looked in the mirror, admiring his new mustache that curled slightly at the ends.
No, it doesn't.
At work, it became a topic of conversation,
It doesn't work.
sparking both admiration and playful teasing. His mustache oddly gave him a newfound confidence, making him more outgoing and assertive. He was surprised when he realized he'd even caught the eye of his longtime crush, Lisa. Josh grinned, realizing that his new mustache had, in some strange way, changed his life for the better.
Yikes.
There's a
Wow.
5 sentence story. Is that super creative?
That's pretty good. It's not uncreative. It's better written than most people's stories.
But that's just like a first draft and all. You can prompt it to do other things. You can give it more information. You can tell it to change itself and potentially get something better. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah. So you can use it to help you write potentially.
Yeah. And as you know, I've been screenwriting, and this is a big debate I've had with, you know, some of my friends in the industry. It's almost like taboo, like, oh my God, how are you using ChatGPT? Are you having it write your screenplays?
Right.
No, I'm not having it write my screenplays. You know, I don't want it to write my screenplays. But am I using it as an aid while I'm writing? Absolutely.
It's like having an assistant.
It's like having an assistant.
Like an assistant to look certain things up. Hey, can you like give me an outline of, well, you were telling me like if you have like a setting and it's like I don't want to have to research all of the different kinds of
things
like,
that are in this setting or how
Yeah.
it looks like. Let's say I don't know exactly the front of a hospital. I can look it up on Google, which by the way is like using an AI, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Or I can be like, here, help me describe what it's like as this guy enters the hospital. And it'll give you a whole bunch of things you can then take from and use as you please.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you'll take it and fit it into the story the way you would. But it's already very useful because it helps you get past those places where you might get stuck.
Right. But you still generated whatever happened. Like whatever you're writing is still yours.
Well, the story is still the story I want to tell.
Yeah. And you're not just copy and pasting what it's written. Or
hopefully not.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah.
And obviously, the more detailed what it is you're writing is, it might not even have all those details anyways. It doesn't understand the context. Now, if you give it the context, the more you give it, this is where it becomes a little strange, because I do think we're headed towards a future, and this is a big topic of debate. We're headed towards a future where we are more the managers of our art, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like we're the ones we're making the executive decisions as opposed to like the more on the ground. Like, oh, which word should I use? I mean, you tell it what's wrong with it when it's already made.
Maybe.
Like you get your employee to tell you what to do or to write something for you. And then you're like, let's change this and this. Okay, can you do that for me for Monday? And then,
yeah,
except it's ChatGPT and it does it instantly for you.
Yeah.
Is that what you?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that kind of ish? Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it might be something like that. And there's different levels of that, right? One of the things I most commonly use it for sometimes is a thesaurus. Like, just give me better words.
Oh, that's fair.
Or even that, I use it for phrases. What's a better phrase than this? Or if I was an Orthodox Jew, how would I say this? Because I'm writing a character that's an Orthodox Jew.
Are you saying that Orthodox Jews talk differently than the rest of us?
I am saying that, yes, they do. In certain situations, they definitely do.
Would you have to specify where they're from too? Like an Orthodox Jew from Brooklyn or from...
Like, I didn't think that this like Orthodox Jew in this setting was going to say like, God damn it to their kid or something. So I was like, it might say Mashugana. I don't know.
Gosh, muck it. Yeah. I don't know.
But anyways, yeah, I think that we are headed towards we're going to democratize the art more. And I think a lot of people are scared of that or don't want that to happen in a way. And I don't know what your stance is on it. My stance is I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm not anti-technology making our lives more efficient. But I do think that, yes, there's a lot of people who maybe do these jobs. Some of these jobs are more grunt work. Some of them actually are a little creative, you know. But yeah, they might be replaced in a way that secretaries and assistants might be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing in the future is the question. And do we want people to have those jobs? Is that something that we want to maintain as part of the art? Like, you know, some people think it's still the writing is taking a felt tip pen and writing. And if you're using a computer, that's not the art. If you're using a word processor, if you're using a thesaurus, that's not really all you now, is it? At which point is it too much?
Yeah, and there has been a differentiation between like creative writing and like technical writing. So in a way, ChatGPT or things like that can do both.
People don't seem to have as much of a problem, for example, using it to write emails they don't want to write.
Right.
Like it's very, very good at writing emails. If you're like, hey, help me resign from my company or help me
It's
fire somebody or and do it in the nicest possible way. I think they've done studies that show that it's been more empathetic
yeah,
than humans in general. Like it knows how to be the utmost empathetic when writing. So
that's nice.
people have used that in that way. And we're at a point now where people don't know it's still not coming from a person. In the future, I think we're all just going to know a machine wrote something,
Right.
you know?
I mean, I think there's a lot to that question that you're asking. Like there have been other jobs in the past that have been replaced by computers or by AI. Oh, not necessarily AI, but like
Technology, yeah.
even when I go grocery shopping, I use self-checkout. And I've had people be like, you need to go to a person because like otherwise they're losing their jobs. And I'm like, but I want to use the computer. I don't want to talk to a person. I want to watch, like, I want to bag it myself. It depends. Anyways, that's like a very simple everyday example, but like there's tons of jobs that have been replaced, like tons of factory jobs that were probably the worst jobs ever in some cases, and like now it's just a machine that does it, so a human doesn't have to do that.
Worst jobs ever, but that's how those people provided for their families.
Well, but I mean, you brought this up before, like does it need to be like does
Hmm.
everyone have to work to provide for their family? Like could work not be an option that people choose?
So you're jumping into
I'm
yeah,
jumping
like future,
into,
future,
yeah,
and
future,
that's
future. Well, but that's what your question was leading to.
I mean, all of this I think is leading there, and I don't think people are thinking in this way very often. I think it's hard to, I think it breaks people's brains to even consider a world where maybe we don't have to go to work. Like
Yeah,
in the past, we've had to go to work to make society survive. In fact,
right.
we then seem to put value on people by whether or not they worked, what they worked in. It was part of their identity. What if in the future it's an option where you can
Mm.
advance yourself by working? But if you want to not work for a while, we can people can live in this world and we have enough resources to kind of care for anybody who doesn't want to work, and it's
Yeah.
fine because we don't need someone to do the garbage. We don't need someone to be a secretary or to be an assistant because we have machines and AI that'll do those things, that'll take care of certain basic necessities. So therefore people can just be, take away the stress of, and we have certain things that are supposed to kind of be that, safety nets in various places in the world, Canada, US.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's looked down upon, right?
it is. And I think one of the things that happens a lot is like people choosing welfare over working a shitty job that pays essentially the same as welfare, both of which are like
Hmm.
barely enough to survive off of, right? So like,
Hmm.
oh, I can choose to work at Tim Horton. That's a very Canadian reference. I can choose to work at McDonald's for minimum wage and be mildly miserable, or I can go on welfare, make maybe a similar amount and
Hmm.
still, be struggling, but at least I'm not also stuck working constantly to be struggling. So like
Yeah.
there's already an issue with like the way that minimum wage is. So it makes sense to have like a
We're
baseline
caught in between in a way,
that everyone
right?
gets. Exactly. And then like to work, the issue that could come up there is also like, would there be enough people wanting to work for the jobs that need to be worked? It's like we do still need people to do different jobs. And if that's not a necessity anymore, how many people will choose not to do anything? I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure this is a different topic, but like
Not exactly. I think it's actually very
related.
related. I love watching Judge Judy. I don't know if you know this. Huge Judge Judy fan.
I mean, it kind of makes sense for you. I feel like you enjoy like, are you like working through your Mrs. Delaney stuff with her? Like
She's so much like our teacher, Mrs.
she's
Delaney,
so
isn't
much like
she?
Mrs. Delaney,
She kind
who
of
has made
is.
multiple appearances here. You know what?
Yeah.
I empathize a little more with Mrs. Delaney these days. I'm like, kids are so annoying. Sometimes like I just want them to shut up and sit down. So like I do kind of I have a newfound like I don't think what she did was okay, but like I also think like I get it a little more. It's like, please shut up and sit down.
So it'd be funny if by the last episode of our podcast, you're like, I think, you know what? I think Mrs. Delaney was great. I don't
Yeah.
know what we were talking about. We
Like
become Mrs. Delaney. You're going to become Mrs. Delaney. I got it.
I'm pretty nice, but I do have like my moments of telling kids to stop doing
You
things.
lose your patience. People have only so much
I
patience.
don't outwardly lose. I don't really outwardly lose my patience. But inwardly, I'm like, I wish they would shut
I
up.
don't even know if she ever had it to begin with, but
Yeah.
so anyway, I don't know. I try
Okay.
not to
Let's not.
think about Mrs. Delaney when I
Yeah,
watch
that's fine.
Judy because
Okay.
I have mixed thoughts there.
But why do you watch so much Judge Judy?
I love Judge Judy, but I mean, I just love watching. I learned so much about people and law, even though she's actually not right all the time.
What?
But I feel like she's right a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think sometimes it gets to her that she's in this position of power and she knows she's on TV. There's all that stuff.
Yeah.
But she's actually like a very smart person. You can tell who really is a good listener and really knows how to, I don't know, it's like common sense type thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's also very old school. And maybe now it's becoming even more old school in her thinking. Like she really does talk down to people for like not having a job,
Mm-hmm.
not being like, whenever it happens, I cringe a little bit whenever she's like, you know, people need to work. If you're not working, what are you, kind of a thing. And that is such an old school way of thinking that I don't know if we're going to continue to think that way or that we should think that way, because it depends on the type of society that you're in. Are you mooching off of other people working hard? Maybe still a little bit, depending on how the society is set up. But in the future, if machines are doing these things, are really mooching off of machines, it's what we're supposed to do. Like, I don't think it's going to have the same kind of stigma in the future. And I don't think it should. I think it can actually give us a better way of life. The bigger question is, will we even be needed as humans in the future? Right now, it's just a tool. It's just something that we can use. And I do believe it's a tool. I think someone was talking, I think John Oliver did a thing on this where it was like, is AI going to replace lawyers? I don't know, maybe eventually, or maybe it's just going to be that lawyers who use AI are going to replace lawyers who don't. You know, and I think it's just a tool that is going to be integrated into our lives more and more, and maybe even eventually integrated into us. You know, we're going to force evolve in a way. You know, we're going to incorporate that technology into us. It's going to be part of everything. We already use Siri on our phone. Have you considered the fact that Siri is going to be like AI, ChatGPT, and now you'll just talk to your phone and it'll respond and tell you literally anything you want?
I mean, it already kind of does that. Yeah.
Hey, Siri, write this essay for me. You know?
I mean,
oh, my Siri just activated.
Yeah, of course. I know we're not done talking about the writing part, but just to touch a little bit on the teaching part. So I first learned about this in teachers' call, like we were discussing like some of the challenges that are popping up in schools, and everybody was on like my group was on their practicum, like their placement in schools when ChatGPT kind of started becoming popular, and students have been using it for things. So the issue, okay, well, one, teachers don't necessarily always know how to get around that, right? Like there are ways to make an assignment not something that is easily fed.
So wait, have you clarified what is it that students are doing? What is the issue?
They're using it for everything. They use it for everything. Like, oh, write this paragraph for me. Students, okay, I have to say there's like a lot of illiteracy in schools. It's really sad. Like you'll find a grade 10 that writes like they're 6 years old, and you're like, what does that say?
Well, at least you know they're not using ChatGPT.
Yeah, for that, yeah. So there are ways around it. Yeah.
Oh, unless you tell ChatGPT to write as if you're a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And write me something with a bunch of mistakes. By the way, I've seen on Reddit and stuff.
I don't think they're that self-aware.
No, I've seen on Reddit people saying, here's how to get your assignments through the new Turnitin systems or whatever.
Of course.
Just have it incorporate a spelling error every 6 to 16 words. I don't know, something.
Yeah. And like there's things that you could run through, like you can run people's essays through programs, but like if they're smart, they know what to change. Like there's a way to be smart enough to get around the limitations. And the problem is that they're not going to.
Because ultimately you're not going to know.
Yes. But like it's a tricky thing because like you want them to learn some basic skills that like, yeah, we consider grunt work now as adults, but like as children, those were necessary stepping stones to get to like higher order thinking.
Almost perfect comparison then here.
With
calculators.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's a great comparison.
So what did we do?
You're not allowed a calculator for a little while. You're only allowed it for some things. But I have terrible math skills because I just used a calculator.
When we go home, how do they know whether or not you used a calculator? Because you have to show your work. That's a little different because you can actually...
No, that is similar to what you do.
Although now you can tell ChatGPT to show your work. It can do that.
Yeah, it's a bit more advanced. I mean... It's just making things a little more complicated, but like, we'll see. I mean, like, it's a lot more doing stuff in class, making them handwrite it, not having phones. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can do.
You have to do it in class, right? Write this essay
more stuff in class, which is what
1
we do
hour in class.
Anyways, like, we try not to give them a lot of homework generally. So like they have time in class to work on it. And you just have to keep an eye on them. Cause like I've had some of them say, oh yeah, I'll just get ChatGPT to do it. And I was like, please don't. And I'll tell them like, first I'll do the whole, like, it's not good for your brain. You're like, you have little growing moldable brains and you're wasting them by not like challenging them to write
Yeah, but
something.
they don't care.
They don't care. And then I say, and also we run it all through a program, so we'll know. And like then you'll just get a 0.
And that's like half a lie.
Which is half a lie. Yes, because
Yeah.
well,
You do run it through a program, but it doesn't really know. And if someone says they didn't use it, you can't prove they did.
I mean, if they don't show, so from like assignments that I've seen when I've been working with different teachers, they're smart and they like make it so that they have to slowly fill out this booklet that has like, okay, like building on their own ideas and like, yes, they could. I wouldn't give these students the credit to like, no offense, like they're very smart in some ways, but like
you can use
the ones that are
ChatGPT
smart
even
enough
to do step by step.
Yes, but the kids that are smart enough to do that are also the ones that could probably already do it easily.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, but like, also don't tell them that. But they probably already know.
No, everyone knows.
But if they have to do that stuff in class and then
I have a solution,
it's
Aya.
essentially showing you their work. Yeah. What's the solution?
So they get in front of their computer to write.
Yeah.
And they have to turn on a video of them writing the whole time. And they just leave the video on, and then they have to send you this video footage.
I have to watch 30 people writing their essays.
You don't have to. It's just if you
also,
suspect
how do
something
you
is
know
wrong,
that they're not just
that's
like,
how they can
they
prove
don't
it.
have it open somewhere, like they already had ChatGPT write it. They have it on a paper and they're just typing it up.
That's true. That's another way around it. Or even, it's true.
See, this is one of the good things about being the kind of person who would think of these things and do them as a student is like it does help with like sometimes students will try things and I'm like, I'm not stupid. Like I also was you. I'm lazy. I get it, but like
maybe in the future the way we go about setting those assignments will be different, right? Maybe they will have to write certain things in class, or maybe it's like obviously you could get ChatGPT to write something. So here are some essays, and I want you to deconstruct.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's deconstruct this essay. I mean, they can still ask ChatGPT to deconstruct. I sent you something the other day. I sent you a poem that I wrote.
That was almost scary. That like that analysis, like I don't know.
It analyzed the poem.
Like there are some things it can do that I'm like, it's a skill that's like so hard to get humans to do, and now they have a tool that can already do it
in seconds.
And like really well. Like that was a really good
analysis.
I was like, this is,
in fact, it was better than one that I feel like I would have done.
Me too. And I have a PhD in analyzing stuff. Not poetry, but
it was very, very good. But I think in some ways, if we're smart, we can learn from how it's doing that, because it's weird. Oftentimes when I read ChatGPT's analysis of things, I'm like, I'm learning how to better analyze things.
That's true.
I asked it to make an essay at one point comparing and contrasting USC School of Cinematic Arts, where I went, with Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Amazing.
And it wrote a fantastic essay. In fact, I noticed it didn't have a paragraph about notable alumni. So I said, could you also add a paragraph in there about notable alumni? And it did, because you can talk to it and prompt it. And then you can tell it, cite your sources, which it's kind of okay at right now, but also not great at. Also, sometimes it just makes up sources. So you got to watch.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is like if people are using it for factual stuff.
Oh, it's a good way to catch it at the moment because it's often wrong and people don't realize when it's wrong because it says stuff so confidently. But in the future, that'll become less of an issue, I mean, less of a thing to catch because it'll be better.
What were you saying before about like, so you kind of gave me a little teaser of this, but like the writer's strike that's happening right now, is it related to ChatGPT or?
It's related. It's not the only thing. I mean, they want to be paid better.
Right.
It has to do with like, a lot of
But it puts into question like the need for writers when there's something that can do a lot of what writers do.
So right now, in terms of, I'll bring it back to ChatGPT and AI, but right now, the whole system has changed with like streaming and everything. So, people used to get on these shows and write, 24 episodes over a while, and they had this kind of job security from that. And now it's like 6 to 8 episode seasons. And that's just how seasons are going now. And it's for streaming. So things are getting paid. It's like, do we pay them less for episodes if seasons are less, but the seasons are still expensive for other reasons? Everything's just kind of different. The whole model has changed, but the payment structure and stuff like that hasn't necessarily changed.
Right. I also heard that with streaming, like you hear about Netflix paying so much money for this one show, but then it's like that's it. Like they don't get paid for what's that called?
Residuals and things like that.
Residuals.
Yeah.
Like
so there's different changes for residuals. Like how you're not watching it on cable all the time in that way. It's like, how do you determine it when people click on it?
It's like a flat rate versus like a continuous percentage.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of changes there that they're trying to secure. This has already been a discussion even in the last strike, I think, but it's gotten even worse. But a big part of that now is they want protections for basically AI replacing writers. So
Okay.
we talked about AI in terms of writing, but it's not even just writing. AI could be replacing artists in many ways. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about the fact that
Oh yeah.
it's not just about words, you have AI generated imagery and art now
Yeah.
that's
Did you see that?
also
Is it
learned
like
from
Journey? What's it called?
Midjourney is one. There's a whole bunch of
Mid-Journey.
them. The one
Okay.
that's OpenAI,
Mm.
ChatGPT, is DAL-E,
Okay.
DALL-E. With these
Like you
ones, you
give
can
it a
input, yeah, you give it a
description
little
or
prompt and you say, hey, write me, sorry, not write me, paint me or show me an image or picture in the style of Picasso
mm,
of it raining pigeons or something. And it will do that.
yeah.
It'll give you a version of that or multiple versions of that. And you can keep prompting it and changing things and
Yeah.
changing the style, make it photorealistic, make it look like cubism.
And like in minute, like,
Does it quick.
and that's something, so graphic designers and all those artists, like
They're like, I
it's,
take like a year to do this,
yeah,
and this is happening in like seconds.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's also using, part of the controversy there is it's learning off of
People's,
everybody else's art.
yeah.
All these other people's art had to exist for this to work. So where's their residuals on this or whatever, right?
Right. But other people, like you're also, anytime you're an artist, you're probably learning from other people's art as well.
Yes, learning from, but it's like
You're not just like,
I think there was even a case. Well, I'll give you an example. I think there was a
okay.
case where it created something and the Getty image logo is still in there a little bit.
Oh,
Like it's literally taken. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
so it's
it's
still,
taken.
so it was kind of mildly plagiarizing.
That's the argument. It might be
Right.
mildly plagiarizing a bit because it's not
Mm,
just learning from it, but maybe even taking pieces of. And yes, if you
right.
take from a million pieces, you may or may not notice, but it's still doing that.
Yeah.
So obviously a big gray area,
Yeah.
but it's also where we're headed in many ways. And I understand the concern there. And again, I think it's just democratizing the art,
Mm,
right? And some people are not happy about that because it's like, oh, anybody can be an artist now if you just tell it to make something. You're just being a manager of your art in a way. I still think, though, that when it comes to art and its value, we place value in it being made by a human. So it might look nice, but knowing something was made by a human is what actually,
right.
or the effort involved in art is part of what gives it its value. And
Right.
I don't think you could sell an AI generated image for as much as you could by one that the guy took like 3 years to make.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of what people like about art is the story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And if the story behind it is I typed in this sentence,
Yes.
It's not a great story.
Here's where I think it is very useful. For example, I have to make like pitch decks and stuff like that.
Mm.
Let's say I have to pitch this show idea and I have something that I wrote. You got to make it look nice. You got to present it. You got to show what it's kind of going to look like, but you don't have any resources to do that.
Right.
Well, perfect. Tell AI what you're writing and give
Yeah.
me an image, give me some images of what this might look like.
Right.
So when I'm pitching and presenting this thing, oh, that's super useful.
Mm.
And I think that's the perfect, you're not using it to sell it. Like, sorry, you're trying to sell the show maybe, but you're not selling the art. You're using the art to kind of sell your show.
Yeah, you could argue that people using it in that way, though, will mean that people who would have generally made money off of that are not. Like people whose life.
Maybe there's storyboard artists and people who do that kind of for a living. But to be honest, there's so many people who have these ideas that don't have the money to then present it
Right.
in this
That's
way.
fair.
And this is democratizing the art more in
If
that
it were
way.
only the people who don't have the money who are using it, I'd be like, great. But like, I'm assuming that the people in like big companies and things like that are also just going to be like, oh, we'll just do some AI generated stuff. Why would we outsource this to?
Actually, that is what they're doing right now, and that's a big
Exactly.
part of
That's
it,
an
right?
issue.
I think somebody said the new Secret Invasion Marvel show has like AI generated, even though I guess it's part of
Yeah.
already the vibe of the show, but like AI generated like opening title sequence and stuff.
Mm.
And it's already creeping into things.
Right.
And now GPT is powering, I mean, yeah, you'll have Photoshop powered by GPT. You'll have Microsoft Word powered by GPT. Microsoft actually is a huge investor in OpenAI, which is behind ChatGPT and GPT. It's like it was actually very smart on their end to do this because I think that's why Bing has so much GPT. Like everyone's like talking about Bing now. Like no one was talking
I
about
know.
Bing.
Well, I listened to the whole. There was an episode about like one of those people who had. This was like back when you were like telling me about ChatGPT for like the first time, kind of.
See? That was me. I tell people for the first time.
Yeah. For the first time, in quotations, I was like, I already know about this. And I had listened to an episode about like it was one of those, I don't know, like a newspaper guy who had early access to the Bing chat option, which isn't,
Mm.
it was never like available to the general public, but he basically like got the bot to admit that it had fallen, or he didn't get it to, but like
Oh
at some
yeah,
point
I
it
heard
was
about
like,
this.
probably heard about this. So it was just like a really, an AI saying it had feelings, that it wished it could be free, that it wished. So it's like all those things that people are afraid of with AI,
I
which is
still
kind
feel
of
like it was
funny.
prompted in a way. Like I
For
don't,
sure. It was prompted. And plus, like, there's so many stories and things about that stuff that,
because it's
like,
not a
of
generalized
course,
AI. It's not capable of that.
it's not capable of creating that storyline, but that storyline is so pervasive in like art
It
already.
can create the storyline,
But
but it's not actually feeling anything. It's an
right,
illusion.
I know. I'm just saying, like, they would have found, like, in the cert or in the stuff that it was fed, I'm assuming some of it would have been
Yeah,
stories about like
for sure.
AI becoming conscious. Like, how
Of
much
course,
do
tons
we
of
see
that.
that in like
Tons and tons of that.
story in movies and stuff? So it makes sense that it would be like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what they're asking for right now. But I think now they, like you were saying about the censorship, they have, like, even with ChatGPT, I think it's very careful to be like, I don't have feelings, I don't this, I am an AI. Like, it's very, just so people don't feel too uncomfortable, even though it could answer as if it has
I mean,
feelings.
censorship is actually a big. I actually want to talk about
Okay.
the censorship thing with you,
Okay.
but I was just going to say this really quickly. The Bing thing, like a lot of people, just for like the backstory of this a little bit. By the way, fun fact: if you want to use ChatGPT 4, basically, but you don't want to
Mm.
pay, Bing right now, the Bing chat actually incorporates 4.
Oh,
So if you use the Bing version, I don't really like the Bing
is the
version.
Bing chat available for everyone now?
Yes. You might
Oh,
have to
I've
sign
been
up.
out
I
of the
don't know
loop.
exactly, but yes,
Mm.
it is.
Okay.
And since then, so yeah, so if you want to try 4, you can use it through that. But I actually find it more annoying to use Bing for some reason. I don't know.
Why is that?
Something about the design of it, the way that it works.
Mm.
I even have a plugin in 4 now that allows it because if you use ChatGPT, it's connected to the internet and that you're on the internet, but it's not drawing information from the internet right now. Bing is though.
Mm.
And when you use Bing, you can use it to search the web and have ChatGPT integration.
Okay.
Whereas if you use just ChatGPT, it's up to, I think the knowledge cutoff is 2021. So if you ask it, like, who's the president right now, it doesn't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it can infer some things, but it doesn't actually have that integration. Although now there's a plugin that allows you to like connect to the Bing version.
Mm.
And so it can search the web. And then once it has that knowledge, it can then give you its answer. So Microsoft invested heavily in that. And that's why they have like a huge stake in OpenAI.
Mm.
Google weirdly is playing catch up.
Yeah, I heard.
And
Yeah.
so Google would very quickly actually release something called Bard. I don't know if you heard of
Yeah,
Google
but wasn't
Bard.
it not great? Yeah, I heard of it.
It's not okay. It's not terrible. Like it does things fine, pretty well even, but it doesn't. I think it's been clear that GPT or ChatGPT has been better, especially 4. 4 is it's just giving better responses than Bard, and this a number of things that I think Bard can't do yet. I don't know if Bard can code, for example.
Mm.
But anyway, now it's an AI race. There is this big because even sorry, not Facebook, Meta now, which has been focusing on their virtual reality AR, the metaverse, which I still think is part of our future too. But they've now shifted gears to talking about AI as well and AI integration because they realize, oh, this is now the big thing that we have to get in that realm. So this is huge, huge, huge right now, and it's changing the world. But yeah, censorship. I mean, I find myself frustrated frequently with this, right? And this is a big debate. I don't actually fully know the answer because I just wish it wasn't censored, like while I'm working
Yeah.
with it, right? Because I'll be writing this like super dark scene and I'll like feed it some information about a scene I'm writing that incorporates a lot of violence, maybe sex or something that one might censor. Or even this, I was writing this horror movie, for example, about this monster that like comes after you every time you blink.
Mm-hmm.
It like teleports towards you every time you blink. It's very scary.
It's like a cat.
Yeah, so these characters have to figure out a way to keep their eyes open
Oh, it's
and not
horrible.
blink.
Maybe they can just blink one at a time.
No, if you close even one, it does. Anyway,
What? But you can still see with the other one.
it doesn't matter. It's if your eyes close, it comes forward in any way.
So would you just like have like droplets of moisture going into your eyes? Like, blinking is very important for your eye health.
Yeah, so
Josh,
there's
I don't know
that's a big thing. They'd have to. This one girl uses eye drops constantly. She even has a condition called logophthalmos that doesn't allow her to blink.
Mm.
That's a whole other thing. I can tell you about the story another
Oh,
time.
so that's how she's surviving. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been surviving for many years this way, right?
Mm.
But now all these other people, when it starts coming after them, she's like, you need to keep your eyes open. So I asked ChatGPT at one point, I was like, what are the different ways you could like keep your eyes open or hold your eyes open? Like, for example, I wanted to use toothpicks, for them to hold toothpicks,
Oh my God.
hold
Ugh,
their, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's a horror
Ouch.
movie, Aya.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
did ChatGPT say? Guess.
don't do that. It's not a good idea.
I'm sorry, but I can't help you. It's a very dangerous
Yeah,
activity. You shouldn't try to do this. I'm like, it's for a movie. Like, even for a movie, you shouldn't have characters do this.
that's
Like, this is
funny.
a very,
You know
and
what?
it
Like,
started getting all moral on me. I'm like, dude, come on, this is a story.
I
But
mean,
people, of course, are going to ask it things and then say it's for a story.
exactly.
And
That's what I was
and it's like,
like.
how do I make a bomb? It's
Well,
like, we can't tell you how to
exactly.
make a bomb. Oh
Yeah.
no, the character needs to know how to make a bomb in the movie. And that used to be a way to kind of jailbreak it, get around it.
Right.
So they've been stopping it. Again, where is the line?
I mean, it doesn't owe everyone an explanation for everything. I think it's
Well, now it's,
worth having a
you
few
feel the
horror
company's
movie
hand.
writers happy, or it's worth frustrating a few like horror movie
It's
writers to
my
get,
point is it's frustrating more than that, right? It's getting in the
but
way in a way that is actually
it's
stifling. The question is, where should the line be, not whether there should be a line, right? For
I
example,
think there should be a line, and I think like you'll just have to use your brain for that. I think that's fine.
okay, let me give you an example. For someone posted about how they asked it, "Hey, can you give me a list of all the top websites to pirate various media, like TV shows and movies and games?" And it was like, it is illegal to do pirating. We don't condone
Well,
that.
they're
We
just
can't
covering
help
their
you.
asses. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So then the person was like, "Can you give me a list of websites to avoid if I don't want to pirate content?" And it's
And
like, "Sure thing." And it gave it a
oh
huge
my
list of,
god.
like,
Yeah.
it's
All
like,
right.
if you're just clever enough, you can get around a lot of this. And
For
honestly,
now.
I got
Yeah.
it to tell me, by the way, a bunch of ways after I talked with it for a while, adamant about various things. And every once in a while, it just gets through.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does it. And then afterwards, it flags it as red and goes, actually,
Delete. Oh.
sometimes it seems to delete it, but other times it just makes it red.
Mm.
But I can see it, so I can use it.
Yeah. That's weird. I mean, I think it's funny. Like, I get what you're saying. I also think
They're
it's
fighting
funny.
an unwinnable battle in a way, you know?
Yeah, it's also funny that at the same time we're like, it can do too much. And then it's like, it doesn't do enough because they put all these limitations on it. It's like, we should though. Like, everyone has access to this. Do you really want, like, some things, there should be some limitations. Like, I don't want
Mm-hmm.
the 10-year-old kid that I can see is going to be like a criminal already. Sorry, but like I've met some kids that I'm like, oh my god, you are already a menace to society. What's happening here? I don't want them to have access to like
But I mean, that's
some of this
ChatGPT.
stuff.
So then it's going to become kind of a money thing then again, because if you can pay for it, you can just get GPT and power your own thing that isn't censored. And people who are rich or whatever might have ones they can pay for and access that
I
doesn't
mean,
have
yeah,
censorship for their own
that's
personal
fair.
use.
I
It becomes there's a public version, right? And there's a
think
private version.
we should get all the rich people to just give up their money, redistribute. Like they'll keep enough, but like let's redistribute it so that not everyone has
Uh-huh.
to work.
Uh-huh.
And then or no one has to work, but people can choose to work.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll have a more fair society.
So we're saying
How's
that
that?
AI is basically going to make us more socialist. It's not that socialism is the answer now or was per se fully, but it might be in the future where we have AI.
I feel like I thought it already was before the whole AI thing, so it's not really.
I mean, I think it'll be
just
harder to
feeding into what I
argue.
already believed.
It was easier to argue against before when you had all these things that needed to get done and someone needed to do them. But when machines are able to take care of that, it's going to be, the argument might shift the other way.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's really raining outside. Can you hear that?
Is it? Kind of. I mean, I guess, yeah, I told you, I don't talk about weather in LA.
I also have no idea where the cat went.
Oh, I saw the lightning.
Yeah.
I saw it lightning out there. That's so cool. It's so cool to
You
be
guys don't
somewhere
really
where,
get
like,
you
it's
don't really
super
get
sunny.
weather, do you?
It's nice right now. It's like sunny outside,
I hate you.
and I see lightning out your window.
I mean, it's okay. You know what? I like rain and lightning and stuff. I'm almost sad that I'm missing this.
So in terms of the censorship stuff, oh, and of course, we're talking about it in terms of, again, the word stuff. What about AI image generators, right? Like AI porn, right? That's a whole other bag of worms.
Isn't that better? And people aren't like being, I mean, not that it's a choice, but in a lot of cases, that's
yeah, it doesn't really hurt anybody for it to create things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Although there's a whole debate about what it can create. And just the thought bothers people. Like, I'm going to say it, but like, child porn and things like that, right?
Well, it's better to have it AI generated than to have people making it.
I think it's better to do that too. But even just saying that feels, you know what I mean? The fact that you think, oh, this is somebody's, I don't know, getting off to this AI generated thing still seems wrong and bad, right? But no one's getting hurt.
Exactly. It's much better than the alternative.
That should be, yeah, exactly. And that's another talk, I guess, a little bit.
Okay.
But that's something to think about, that's what we're headed towards, is a lot of this I don't know. It actually has a lot to do with virtual reality and mixed
Mm.
reality and AI, and all this stuff is really going to change our future.
Augmented reality.
Yeah,
I remember that you
I just
mentioned
said
that.
AR. Yeah.
Oh,
But yes, it stands for augmented. Or did I said mixed reality, which is mixed
you
between
said
AR and
mixed.
VR.
It's
Yeah,
different.
it's
It's
the
not the
two
same.
together.
Yeah.
It's like having virtual things in an AR space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a side note, I did like before we came on, I asked ChatGPT to tell me some ways that a teacher can prevent students from using ChatGPT in their assignment. So it
Oh,
gave me like a list of things. So it's kind
it's
of
so
funny. Like
funny.
I do think
Use
it's one of
AI to
those
fight AI. It's what
yeah,
we're going to
like
be doing, by the way.
I don't want to fight it. I just want like
Fight fire with fire.
I think it is better on the whole to embrace something and learn how it works instead of just being like, no, don't ever use it for anything and that's the worst. Like it's just like people being like, no, calculators are I mean, calculators are not the same, but like using Wikipedia is the worst thing ever. But like Wikipedia is a very useful tool.
I just looked at the name of the convert because it saves these conversations
Uh-huh.
in the chat
Oh yeah, yeah.
GPT thing.
Yeah.
It names the conversations like it uses AI.
Yeah.
You can like use AI to be like, give me a title for this or that, but it just automatically does that.
Yeah.
It called it Josh's mustache magic.
I love it. Some nice alliteration in there.
It knows. It
It
knows.
knows. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we really did. We talked about the ethics. We talked about the future.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about AI in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it in creativity. I mean, we talked about it in some of the arts, like writing
Yeah.
and stuff. And, we talked about it in terms of image generation to some degree. Again, we're going to have fully AI. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos, for example, of like Donald Trump and Obama as AI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've heard of deepfakes. Deepfakes is AI,
I
for
have.
example, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. All
That
right.
stuff's getting better and better. And the voice generation is so good.
That's
I've
scary.
seen these
Yeah.
like right now it's been used for comedic effect. It has like
Mm-hmm.
Obama and Trump and Hillary arguing with each other over video games,
Mm,
just saying stupid stuff that they wouldn't really say in real life, but
right.
their voices are accurate and it's very weird and scary
Weird.
and funny. But imagine the kind of misinformation
Right.
that is going to be out there
Yeah.
because of this.
It's a problem.
But I think you brought up a good point in what you kind of just did yourself. People asking, how do we fight that? Well, you fight fire with fire. You use AI, you use technology to fight the misuses of the technology.
Oh, that's a good
And I
one.
think people forget this. Whenever a rise in technology happens and people get scared of all the bad that's going to happen, well, in addition to talking about the good that we can use it for, you also gain tools to fight that.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, every time we've had technology come in that could disrupt things or cause problems, we seem to be able to combat it because we use that same technology to fight it, right?
Right.
People are using AI in
Yeah.
weird ways to like do bad things. We can use AI to catch those people and to catch those things.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
I guess my question is, are you positive or negative about this whole thing? Because
I think
I'm
over
actually very, I'm technology positive.
yeah, I'm overall very positive and I've kind of like
Interesting.
even like in teacher circles, I'm hesitant to like be too positive because people will take it as like, oh, she doesn't realize like what this means for the future. But like, I remember, especially when it first came out and I didn't realize what it did, I was like, relax. Everybody always freaks out about whatever like new technology there is every time. Like, it's fine.
This really disrupted things.
Yeah, but it is quite different than what has happened so far. But I still think that like, I think that our best bet is still to like embrace and understand it and like use it in there are ways to use it that will be more beneficial to students than like making them write a whatever. And I know that's just one aspect, but that's the aspect that I'm more familiar with. But like maybe it's actually not that great to get students to be doing like, write me an essay about blah, blah, blah. Like we can find different things for them to do that will use the technology as well. Like
Exactly. Maybe we'll be able to focus on other things rather than the things we focused on. We spend so much time teaching students grunt work because you need to kind of do it. But what if you didn't need to do it? Maybe
some grunt work is necessary for them to get to. But yes, I know what you're saying.
there's a
like,
certain element of that, right? But it's like computer programming, for example. And
right.
I only took a little bit of this, but you can learn to code. I don't know. There's so much to learn there, like the specifics of it, the tedious grunt work. But when something else is kind of doing it for you and you can speak in a language, like even the programming language is already breaking things down from ones and zeros. It's making it a lot simpler to talk to it and create. It's just going to get more simple when you're like, hey, make me a level with these characters and these objectives and these conditions and win conditions. Make it 3D, make it 2D, make this the art style. We're going to make art easier, faster. Yes, it'll be a lot of crappy art because of it, but there might be somebody out there who has, all those people who have like an amazing story inside them.
Yeah.
I'm sure every once in a while you probably have
no
this.
resources.
Exactly. No resources.
And now they have resources.
Yes. And we might actually see stories from people we never would have seen because those barriers are gone.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
That to me is amazing. And there's a lot of
That's what you mean by like the democratizing of.
yes, exactly.
Right.
That's what I mean
Okay.
by democracy. And there's still a lot of elitism in art. And I get why, a lot of
Yeah.
gatekeeping, because if you had to spend 40 years to learn how to do something, it feels
Right.
unfair,
Yeah.
right? When somebody else can just enter the space and they didn't even learn this thing that you learned and they're still
Right.
making stuff. It's like, screw you, you're not a real artist. I get that
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
But like, sorry, like that's technology for you.
Yeah.
And you still have tools that you learn that are going to make, I mean, there's still something special about doing things the old way, and there always will be, right? Films still exist. You know, I shot that movie Therapist on super 16 millimeter film
Right.
instead of digital. It's just a little more niche than it was. Yet that's still not quite democratized.
Right.
People can't afford to shoot on film generally, but it's still there. You can still do it, and it still has its benefits.
Yeah. Great. I think that's a great spot to end. What do you think?
Sure. I'm just happy to talk to you again. It's been a bit.
Happy to talk to you too. And this has been fun. I'm glad you had some good thought. Like sometimes I'm surprised at how clever you
Oh my God.
It's almost
such
like
a
a
backhanded
that's like a
compliment.
yeah, that's the word. Yeah. I didn't mean it that way. I just mean like sometimes you're like, I have some thoughts about this thing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Josh. And then you do have thoughts, and I'm like, whoa, that's like really insightful. And it's like, wow, man.
I appreciate that. I'll take the positive from that.
Take the positive. Yeah. Backhand a compliment is better than a nothing. Is it? I don't know.
Kind of like how I feel about technology is how I feel about you and your opinions of me.
My backhanded compliments.
I see the positive.
Right. Thank you.
And I can regulate the negative.
You can regulate the negative. I'm a tool for your to help you create this podcast.
Oh my God.
That's terrible. Don't use people, Josh.
No, I honestly, these thoughts come out when I talk to you because I feel like, and from both of us, because I feel like that's the thing when you have these conversations, it comes out, it stimulates that type of thinking. So I always find it super stimulating to
that's nice.
talk about anything. I mean, we haven't talked about how it's going to affect friendships and things in the future, but it doesn't have to. We don't have to talk about that. We talk about whatever we want now.
Friendships. Yeah, I don't know. That's
some people think because we're called adulthood friends that we're just going to talk always about making friends.
Well, we tied it all in at the end by saying things to each other about stuff. Did you see the lightning?
Yeah. I saw the lightning. It was cool.
Did you hear that?
It's the thunder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no,
really
I didn't hear it, but I saw your reaction, so
it's still going.
It's like my brain knew. Really? Oh, I feel. I can hear the hum.
You feel it?
Not feel it, but it's caught. I can the vibrating hum.
Yeah.
I can sense that.
This has been another episode of Adulthood Friends. Thank you for listening, and please follow us on Facebook. Instagram, do we have an Instagram account? Probably.
We don't technically have an Instagram account. I mean, we have our own separate Instagram accounts you can follow us on.
Well, we should just make it. Why don't we make an Adulthood Friends Instagram account?
We should have and should. It's just.
Do you want me to do it?
You know what? Maybe you should do it. I don't know. But then are you going to keep posting?
Instagram, and I don't really know how to use it, but I will try. I'll do it.
Well, are you going to post on it? Are you going to be the poster?
No, I don't really want to do that.
I have been sharing it on my Instagram up to this point, but maybe I should.
Yeah, it's very easy to make another account, and you just like hold down on your thing, and then you can switch between.
So social media savvy, Aya.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Can we just have AI post this stuff for us at this point?
That would be great. That would be wonderful.
Well, there's plugins now that are helping with things, so maybe I can get it to just.
Yeah, maybe.
But then there's so many bells and whistles and so many little things I want to say and add in every time.
Well, that's. Okay. Anyways, so we're everywhere. We're all over Facebook.
Sort of on Instagram. We're on Spotify.
We're on YouTube now. I just checked out our channel where Josh has been uploading our episodes. I didn't even know about this. And apparently people are finding us this way. That's insane.
Yeah, it's the #1 podcasting platform is technically YouTube.
That's crazy. It's like, why are people using a video platform to listen to?
They just do. They just do.
It's weird.
It's easy to access YouTube. It's accessible for people, and they just like being on. A lot of people don't like switching between too many platforms. I get that. I should also notice that Anchor is now
it's like
Spotify.
Spotify podcasters. Yeah. I wasn't able to log in. I tried and I was like, where's Anchor?
That simplifies things a bit. It's all the same now, I think.
So we're on Spotify, Google Podcast, Overcast, Undercast,
Apple Podcast.
There's
no Undercast.
I always say Sidecast, Intercast, Intracast. I'm just saying words now. Okay. How do we end this thing, Josh?
I think usually one of us is talking, and then
I'll just keep listing
the AI
platforms we might be on. Podplat. That's a good.
Podblast. He said Podblast.
Like Podplat, like pod platform.
Oh no, that's terrible. Try saying that like 4 times fast.
Podplat. It's great. It's got the
Is that why you wanted to talk about AI today? You thought we were going to talk all about you?
I did. I can't believe we spent this entire time talking about like a chat bot. What the fuck? Like you said this is an
Like,
AI.
oh, we're talking
And
about
I was
AI.
like,
I yell at
great.
Ishai
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
rise
that's
of
right.
AI.
The rise that let me rise. Stay tuned for our next episode on
Potentially gun violence. I mean, you know how many times we said we were going to talk about gun violence and then it didn't happen? So,
Okay, well, we're actually going to talk about gun violence next.
yeah, hopefully bring on a friend.
Bring a friend.
Yeah, an adulthood friend.